Good morning, Pioneers. My name is Connor Morrison.
And I'm Justice Cullivan. Welcome to The Grit.
Let's recap with what's happened so far. Starting with swimming, seniors Lauren Moorhead and Jamal Deek competed well in states in their last hurrah, placing 6th, 7th, 9th, and 10th in their respective events. And then also juniors Mia Baccio placed 7th and 8th, and Kaden Dunn placed 20th. The girls 200 medley placed 11th, and girls freestyle relay placed 5th, which is very, very good. So, so obviously Mia and Kaden, they're both juniors. They're going to be on the team next year unless they decide that they don't want to do swimming anymore. But I can't see that happening, especially knowing both of them from being on the swim team previously. They both work very hard, so they'll kind of be like the leaders of the team next year. So we'll still, we got a lot of new swimmers this year. I wasn't on the team, but I work where they practice. I saw a lot of their practices, a lot of new people that are going to be looking to improve next year, and then some juniors stepping up to be the role models of the team.
And I think, with this team next year, I think there's going to be a lot of veteran presence almost with very experienced seniors, which is obviously good for the freshmen and sophomore on the team. So I think that they're building up a program here, and I think in a couple of years, I wouldn't be surprised if they're one of the better swim teams, because this is exactly how you start. You look at it across all sports. Veteran presences always win you games or matches or whatever it might be. Meets, yeah. So I think that they got a good thing going down there, and I think it's going to be fun to watch next year for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hockey finished their postseason with a 1-2 loss against Upper Arlington in the OHS regional quarterfinals. The only Pioneer goal came from sophomore wing Roman Wagner. Apologies.
So that's all right. A lot of juniors on that hockey team as well. Obviously, they had a couple seniors. Main ones, Jack Parsons.
They had some injuries too that really, like Nolan Perry in the first game of the season. He's a great defenseman, undersized but really, really good player. Known him for a while. And then you got Grady Smith, the goaltender. He was out for the whole most of the season too. I think he played the first half. So there are a lot of injuries, and obviously with injuries comes a bit of it's hard to recover from that. You got some younger guys coming in and stepping in those roles, and especially with hockey around Ohio, it's been pretty solid. You got some good teams, especially around Central Ohio. So they're not in an easy area. So I think that this team record does not reflect how good they really were.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously, like you said, there's great teams around here. Liberty winning the state tournament. Was it last season or 2 seasons ago, maybe?
I want to say 2 seasons ago. They've obviously dealt with some coaching changes.
Yeah, right. And then, I wanted to just talk about a bit of the future of the team, because there's so many great juniors or sophomores that got a lot of ice time on varsity this year. Maverick Shulvin, we talked about. Charlie Strang, he's my IP Gov. Great guy, great hockey guy.
And Evan Wilson, star of the team.
We had him on the show.
He's coming back next year. He's got one more year in him, and then you got Nolan Perry will be healthy next year yet. So that will be good for the defense. Yep. They have a really good. They've just struggled with these injuries, and I think the depth will get better, which has been an issue also that I've heard. Is the depth on the 3rd and 4th lines have been a bit of a struggle, just because of you can't. It's very difficult to have a good team when you have all these injuries, especially the guys who have been on this team for so many years. It's and then you have freshmen and sophomores stepping up, and it's very difficult to build a successful team. They're able to have a solid season overall. Definitely next year, watch out for the Pioneers.
I would agree. Girls wrestling won the Licking Valley sectionals with a whopping 312 team points. All 14 weight classes advanced to districts with 8 winners of the weight in each weight class. The girls are looking for back-to-back state titles as they continue their postseason run on Sunday at Big Walnut.
Meanwhile, boys wrestling tied a school record, sending 10 wrestlers to districts. The boys finished 2nd in the Newark sectional last Saturday. They will now head to districts tonight and tomorrow, hosted by Hilliard Darby.
So let's just talk about, we just said, a team score of 312 points, which is obviously awesome. And then there's also the individual scoring.
What else is new?
But just to kind of explain that a little bit, so there's the team score. Each wrestler if depending on the result of their match, gets some certain amount of points for the team.
Mm-hmm.
So there's kind of the team meet and then also the individual meet. So it's kind of two separate things. Each individual wrestler is looking to move on to the next tournament, and the team itself is looking on to move.
So I actually just had a podcast 2 weeks ago with the Juice's own Mr. Nicola. We had a great podcast, and that was one thing that I talked about with him, that I asked him about, is the difference between individual wrestling, because obviously it's a one-on-one match at its core. You got one person going against another person, but then we talked about the team aspect of it and he said one of the biggest strengths of this team is how the unity that they have and how they work together, and that it's not just for one person and that they're not just wrestling for themselves. So I do think that that's why this team has been so successful. I think it's really interesting just how the scoring works too. We talked a little bit about that. I definitely learned a lot during that podcast. So it was really interesting, and it's definitely a different dynamic than what you think wrestling would be.
Yeah, I would have loved to have been on that podcast. Hopefully we do a couple more as the postseason continues. Maybe we get Coach Kalo for boys basketball. Maybe we get, a hockey coach or something. Some of them it's harder because they're not coaches in the school building, but we're going to keep working on it. So make sure that you do tune into those when we have them.
Yeah, for sure.
And then finally, for our recap, last Friday, boys basketball destroyed Olentangy Liberty 72-53 for their last regular season game and senior night. They kicked off their postseason play on Wednesday against Central Crossing in district semifinals, crushing the Comets 55-18. Man, that is a score.
That is embarrassing.
Especially in postseason.
You might as well just get rid of your basketball team at that point.
Wow.
18 points?
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
I think they had 6 at halftime was what I saw.
Yikes. Obviously, this Orange team is special. They have dominated the whole season. We called the Liberty game.
We did.
And it was close for a little bit. It looked like Liberty was coming back.
Maybe the first quarter.
Well, and then there was that time when they got to
That's
within
true.
4. They got within 4,
true.
and then after that, it was all nears. And it's been beautiful to watch. Some great basketball. We saw the Kaufman game also called that. I know Samira and Ayana also called one of the games for the boys, and they won that one. They've only lost to out-of-state teams in prep schools. They have 2 losses on the year. They're the number 1 team in the state. I don't want to jinx nothing, but they're looking good. So definitely let's keep a lookout for that. And we're definitely, if the farther they go, it's gonna be fun to watch. Last year they had a good run. I think they got to regional finals. I want to say regional semifinals, something around there, like the Final 4 or Final 8, one of those two. Great run, but this year they're looking even more dangerous. And we watched Devin Brown, who's been the star of the team. He had a good game, but it wasn't his 20-point showings that we have seen. But they still dominated. It's just so many lethal players from the bench too. They got some great depth there. This is a dangerous team, and I think you got to watch out for them. They got some dunkers, they got some shooters, they got everything.
They do, and we obviously when we talked to Kalo, kind of prepping for calling some of those games, his sights are so set on that state title. I think the way that the season ended last year just didn't really leave the right taste in his mouth that he wanted, and now he's out for blood. I would say he's out for revenge. He's blowing out all these teams in the tournaments or in regular season, whenever it is. Obviously, competition is going to get steeper as postseason goes on, but
we saw how he was acting in that Liberty game. That is a man on a mission, if I've ever seen one. He looked like he was fired up. Did not like some of the calls, but getting us in the ref's face. I love it. It was getting me fired up, and I was up at the little where we're calling the game, and I was feeling the energy. So that is a man on the mission right there, and I don't think anyone's gonna and nothing's stopping him.
I agree.
Right
So
now.
hopefully they make another deep postseason run, maybe a shot at that state title.
Yeah. Bowling competed in their district competition on Tuesday at HP Lanes. After districts, senior Ashlyn Nichols will be heading to the state tournament. She is only the second bowler to reach states in program history. With all that being said, let's throw it over to Alex for an interview with her right now. Alex?
Thanks, guys, and welcome to the Grit. First of all, Ashlyn, congratulations on qualifying for the state tournament.
Thank you. I still can't believe that I qualified and am going to states.
All right, so what are some of your pregame rituals that you use to get you focused and get you in the zone for before you bowl?
I always try to spend time with God and pray before matches, and then just spending time with my teammates and just talking and hanging out and just trying to stay focused before a match.
And during your matches, if you're kind of feeling down, how do you handle pressure in a close match with someone?
Just trying to breathe and refocus and remember that I do know my spots and I do know my technique, and just remembering that and going back to the basics and trying to focus and do my best.
And speaking on your technique, what is your favorite technique that you feel like can set you apart from most of the people you play against?
Probably my rotation and being able to adjust to how the lanes are playing. As you keep bowling and the more people that are on lanes, the lanes break down and it affects how the ball rotates, and so that's something that you have to be able to quickly adjust so that you can continue to strike and not split or have spares you have to pick up.
And now that you're going to the state tournament, what are you most excited for while you're going to be there?
Probably just to see the other bowlers that are super good and just be able to learn from bowlers who have more experience than I do, and just to experience states. That's really cool, being only the second person in program history, just enjoying it and enjoying my last bowling event of high school.
And then finally, would you rather only miss one pin or be able to get your high score in a match?
Probably just high score, because you can get a high score and miss a pin, and it's just it hurts to miss a pin, but you can recover from it and you can learn from that and adjust your shots from that.
Good luck at states. Thank you. And that's all from us. Now back to the desk.
All right, thank you, Alex. Let's finish up with our recap. On Monday, girls gymnastics had an incredible feat, breaking the school record for team score with a total of 148.825. The team came so close to qualifying for states, missing the cut by only .025 points.
On the bright side, the team did qualify 2 individual gymnastics for states. The Juice's very own Macy Medley will be competing for vault, uneven bars, and all-around. Bridget Reagan will also qualify for uneven bars. The state tournament is this Sunday at Hilliard-Bradley.
All right, and then finally, let's talk about the Super Bowl a little bit. We haven't had a show since the Super Bowl, so let's hear your thoughts first. I know you've got some burning takes.
It was fun. I had a good time enjoying watching Patrick Mahomes lose and Travis Kelce lose.
I figured you'd say something like that.
Yeah, when he walked out, you saw the video of him walking out in his little sparkly, stupid-looking suit. That was beautiful, the sight to see. That moment when Cooper DeJean picked it off and returned to the house, I was pretty hype. I don't even like the Eagles. I hate their fan base. I have a friend named Joey Wagaman. He's a fan here of the Eagles. He's pretty chill. But besides that, I've never met an Eagles fan that I can say that I enjoyed talking to at all. But, my team's the Ravens, Birds, Eagles, Ravens. I had to root for them. And also just because of how horrible the Chiefs are. I don't think there's anybody that does not live in Kansas City, Missouri, or a Taylor Swift fan that actually enjoys watching the Chiefs win. I think those are the only humans that actually are able to watch the Chiefs and be excited when they win, because the only thing I feel is depression. It's not even anger at this point. It's just depression because I know what's happening. But this was a quick break from all the sadness. A break in the clouds, one could say. A sun beaming through. They are beatable in the playoffs. And now, next year, the Baltimore Ravens are going to be your Super Bowl champions. This is the
you
year.
think so?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Oh, I do.
We'll
Because
see
we know
about
your
that.
Browns are not going to be.
Listen.
Because we know your Browns are.
That wasn't the subject of conversation here. I don't. We'll see. We'll get into it. We'll talk about some preseason stuff. But moving on to my thoughts, I don't like the Eagles a whole lot, but there's a couple of players I really like. I really like Saquon Barkley. I'm glad he got a ring. A.J. Brown, probably one of my favorite non-Browns players. I just think he's when he plays well and he's not complaining that he's
reading a book on the sideline,
something like that.
Yeah,
he's so dominant. My likeness for him really started in fantasy football a couple years ago. I drafted him. He was just so dominant, won me so many games. So
I experienced the same from him. He was amazing for me, in 2022. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I think it was whatever his first year on the Eagles was. That's when I got him, and he was dominant. So I'm glad that some of those players got the ring. I think it is, in my opinion, I would have taken the Eagles to win, obviously, and I think Jalen Hurts also he gets a lot of hate. A lot of people say he's overrated. Some people say he's underrated.
He separated himself from a lot.
Yeah.
He's definitely not on the same level as a Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes yet.
But he's definitely that second tier.
He's the second tier,
right towards the top of the mountain.
He's there with he's right below the Joe Burrows, the Josh Allens, Lamar Jacksons, who I do think have separated themselves. But I think he put himself in the elite category.
Yeah.
He's not in the upper echelon. You like that?
Mm-hmm.
Upper echelon.
That's a good word.
Yeah, it was a good word. So he's not up there with the Mount Rushmore quarterbacks in the NFL, but he's right below, and I think that's a great place to be, and I think the Eagles are looking to go back-to-back at the end of next year.
Sure.
This is not a team that they're just one and done. Like this is if there is a team that is destined for a dynasty, it's the Eagles are in second place by the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah,
because the Baltimore Ravens are going to be a dynasty
to say
in a couple
something
years.
about the Ravens. That's what I do want to say. Like their defense was so dominant against Spagnuolo's like world-renowned great defense that he had throughout the regular season, and they have a lot of young players on the Eagles defense. So, and obviously they're going to probably go draft some other young player in this draft. I feel like that's what they always do, and then he always ends up being amazing.
You know how I always talked about the witchcraft that the Chiefs have on winning games? The Eagles had the same thing, but it's for drafting.
Yeah.
When they draft, it's just like magic. They like have a little pot and they like stir it around, and then smoke appears, and all of a sudden great players get picked to the Eagles every time. Like the 27th overall pick, who normally would be some bum that we never hear about that's good, who's just there to fill up a roster spot. Suddenly now he's Tom Brady of cornerbacks or whatever. They got Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Are you serious? What are we doing? Like, how did both these guys fall to the Eagles? I don't know. And it makes me angry because now I realize I'm a hater because, I always everyone here in the studio knows how much I complain about the Chiefs. And now I'm complaining about the Eagles winning too. So I guess I'm just never going to be happy.
Unless it's the Ravens.
Unless it is the Ravens. But you know how I work. It's on to the next thing. So I'll be happy for like a day, and then it's just laser focused.
Yep. All right. Well, just wanted to get our thoughts on it. It'd been a while since we had a show, and haven't had one since that Super Bowl. So
yeah, of course.
Good way to end the NFL season. That's all for our show. Good luck to all our Pioneer athletes in tournament play. I'm Connor Morrison.
And I'm Justice Cullivan. We'll see you next Friday right here on The Grit. And as always, roll Nears.